So yeah, there you have it. Pretty fun ride. So this is my home built €30 recumbent trike. It has a experimental tilting mechanism at the rear. The two wheels independently go up and down, tilt essentially. It's built using an improvised MTB shock. All right, first ride, not too bad. It survived basically. It's fairly intuitive. It doesn't really take much to learn how to go because I think it balances on its own, as you can see. It's a bit rickety at the back. I think it's because, of course, of way too many springs. 1, 2, 3, 4 springs in there. So it's bound to create a fair amount of give there. But otherwise, not too bad. It actually survived the first ride. I think I can just tweak it a little bit to make it tighten up the rear end. But apart from that, I think I'll just keep at it and see how it goes for the rest of the journey. So as a first attempt, I think this is not bad at all. It had a reassuringly uneventful first journey, where everything pretty much worked as expected without anything falling off, especially me. So yeah, as you can see, it's a forward wheel drive. It's got a moving bottom bracket in the front, under the seat steering, and entirely nuts and bolts, no welds at all. It's entirely built from scrap bicycles. That's why, hence €30. That's the budget. I'm not kidding there. It's all leftover parts and odds and ends, pieces of plywood, lots of tape. Yeah, but it works, and I was especially keen to explore that tilting mechanism I referred to, so that the two rear wheels, which as you can see are not connected by the pedals, they can independently move up and down using the spring of the shock, which has been repurposed as the tilting mechanism. So yeah, today was the first ride. Super hot day, and apart from that, I had a very nice time just riding it up and down the bike track and testing out especially that tilting mechanism. Here you see how it's made. Two sliding independent decoupled legs of the front shock of an MTB repurposed, and the two wheels there for the trike are standard 20-inch wheels, and sort of jigged it all together basically. Maybe in the rest of this video I can show you how it's built. So I got this €15 children's bike, and there's other bits of parts from this older build which I had lying around. This MTB, kids MTB again, and of course my trusty scooter. Well, parts of it anyway. So all of these parts were lying around, and in my head I started thinking, hey, what about a three-wheeler, a trike? And the shock could become a differential tilting mechanism, something like that. Yeah, basically, one leg goes up, but the other doesn't, and that way you tilt. And of course, you have the standard rear shock, etc. So, as my usual style, I just played my Meccano or Lego on the floor, put all the parts together, and see if I got any ideas. I'm not exactly sure why I kept doing this or thinking this, but what are you going to do? There it is, you see. I was just figuring out if how to make one shock, the two legs of the shock absorber, how to make them independent, and if I could do that, then clearly, it would tilt, because one side would be up, the other would be down, and there would be a slope. So a few mechanisms, ball bearings, what parts I had lying around, maybe I could use skate bearings, a few ideas. I just sort of played around. Yeah, not sure exactly why again. Thinking about building a trike. So I've got two recumbents so far, a forward wheel drive and a rear wheel drive. Well, this is the rear wheel, the forward wheel over there. Anyway, so the trike idea, of course, needs some thinking around the tilting. Conventional wisdom says that on a bicycle and a trike specifically, the tilting thing is, it's going to become too complex, expensive, intricate, unstable, etc., etc. and better to just have a simple, steady, uh, non-tilting trike. But there's a fun in that. So the idea here I'm exploring is this one. Look, I've got this old children's frame thingy, front wheel drive on that one, and then behind, when this triangle goes away, I'm going to somehow put this with the shock absorber facing backwards, so that the fork now with the two tires becomes sort of a delta trike of sorts. I'll share some drawings, some vague ideas on that. But the core premise of this is something like this: that if I decouple these two legs, hopefully it's just simple two springs in there, and there's nothing connecting these two internally from here. But anyway, so as this one leg goes up, ideally I would like to figure out if this other leg can go down, and vice versa, of course. That way this whole thing can tilt left and right. So the way I'm thinking about doing this is, I'll probably, well, of course not with the through axle. I'm going to remove that hollow hub thing and put a solid one like that over there. Anyway, so the idea is figure out a way to put, because these are not designed to be only held by one side, so figure out a way to put a metal reinforcing leg on this side. Of course, not all the way to the top. I need to attach it to some point below the shock, so that the shock still works, but only individually one leg for every wheel, for each wheel, something like that, if you get my random idea here. And like I said, either it could be decoupled, or the parallelogram, which is used by some in tilting, I can make that happen up here. So this is decoupled, and then I have some kind of fulcrum here, on this point, connected from the top, and then have a fulcrum here like this, which can tilt left and right, and then connect that using a sort of sliding attachment, so that as it moves this way, this leg is up, this leg is down, and similarly when it moves this way, this leg is up and this leg is down. So is it going to be worth it? I don't know. Is it going to even be rideable? I don't know. So just mulling this over, random musings over this. So this seems fairly stable on its own. I mean, I'm quite happy with this. It's an interesting contraption. Look at this. So I reckon it might even be fine just as it is, even if I connect through larger 9 or 10 mm. I think it's 9.5 probably, something like that, axle all through. So, but then of course it won't tilt at all. Is it gonna be fun to ride if I do that? Probably not, but it might be a fairly good compromise. Nah, I mean, right now it's easier to turn, but imagine if it's not, it's a rigid. Well, we shall see. A little bit of experimentation and trial and error needed, but that's the idea. Forward wheel drive, delta-ish kind of trike, with these two wheels at the back, everything 20-inch, because I need it small. I can't be bothered to create a huge, big, monstrous trike which I can't fit in the lift. So the idea is smallish enough, no longer than this. Maybe that's the maximum I can go. So it will probably be similar length, and width-wise also I can't be too generous with the width. Probably this is going to be the max width I can go with it. Maybe slightly larger, but I can't really use the front shocks if that's the case. That is, and off we go. Another little adventure. So I'm not entirely sure why I started building this. Some kind of standard existential crisis, I guess. You need to do something, yeah. So anyway, it's quite fun. This is always a fun time to design something, to look at all the possibilities, the triangles, the geometries, what shapes can be had which would survive on their own. With nuts and bolts, just nuts and bolts. That's the constraint. And the trike, the main benefit for a trike, for me at least practically, is that at low velocities I don't need to think about balance. On a recumbent, that's the biggest challenge, especially in urban traffic. So as I was building this, I was trying to figure out, can I get the benefits of a recumbent, but still, be able to stop and start at traffic lights and so forth. So these two parts, like I was saying, the two bikes together.
Here's the problem I should have foreseen, but in my typical gung-ho fashion, I didn't. Just proceeded to cut first. Well, this is the cut first. Here it is. See that bit? Yeah. And now it's very wobbly. You can't show it with one hand. Yeah, there you go. You can see that? That's not so. See that? That's not supposed to happen. Wobbles all over the place. I think they are designed to operate as two together, not as solo. So there's a plan. I'll show you. Okay. So as you saw, there each leg is rotating. Clearly, I should have foreseen that. There's no reason for it to be in a groove still. So it rotates. Yeah. Look at this. It's not supposed to do that for my design. So what to do? My plan right now is to maybe use these two bosses which were designed for the brakes, create like a wooden connector, but of course if I connect them, that defeats the purpose of cutting this part. So the idea is to create a connector but then have a vertical slit here and a vertical slit here, so each leg can go up and down individually, but they can't rotate along their axis here, so they can't do this. See, that's not supposed to happen here like this. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's the best solution, but yeah, we should try. What's the worst that could happen? I'll just land on my bum, because these are going to be the back seats.
So yeah, so stupidity spurs action. So my lack of foresight led to a little adventure here to try to figure out how to make that contraption work, essentially, to go up and down but not rotate along its own axis. So I had a couple of ideas. Remember, the whole thing for me was, can I make something which will survive at a reasonable speed and bumps and stuff like that. So this is one of the ideas. You just essentially have metal plates which connect the two sides. The bikes themselves, like, quite enjoyed it. It's a little cute little contraption. I don't know even for a moment that I could build something other than a trike. It's a vaguely symmetrical contraption. The spring, etc. Again, that was quite a bit of in my head a big thing to solve, because the springs. Well, okay, this is the contraption I was referring to. Plates which are connected with...
Not having much time to work on this, but this is what's happening so far. Quite a few ideas on how to connect the handlebar. So far I'm going to go with under seat steering, I abandoned that last time, but this time let's make it work. And I'm going to try to fit that massive 58T chainring in there. That should give us nice amount of speed. Problem is there's no space here. There's a little bit of scraping, much more than little bit. There's quite a bit of scraping happening here. So I try to dent it inwards, steel frame. So what's the worst that could happen, Just bang it with a hammer. That's what I've been doing. What else? I'm a little still having a lot of doubt about this whole stability of this structure. I don't want to be going at some speed and then the back two wheels just spin around like some kind of pirouetting ballerinas. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit nervous about that. If my DIY skills can do anything to rectify that situation. What else? Yeah. So handlebars are here. They seem totally solid. Not really. Just kidding here. I definitely need two supporting beams on the sides to prevent them rotating around, but quite promising in the sense that this the same rod here, I'm planning to maybe cut it off here and then have a structure from this point to here, and this rod will come in handy. So that should work. Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, so onwards with my meandering, ill-advised, ill-thought out journey. Nice little DIY misadventures, misadventure or adventures, plural, of course. Everything is going on in parallel. The front steering, the shock in between, and of course the rear tilting thing. Massive mess. Everything happening in parallel, and I kept sort of taking breaks in between. This was quite a chill project actually because I didn't rush it. I just had lots of other stuff to do, so I just kept coming back to it. So this is the spring in between. So the bolt at the bottom is what rotates the front and the back. You know that's around that the pivot. Pivot is the word, yeah, pivot, and then the spring is what compresses the middle. The every single part actually every single bit has had some challenge in this, like literally even the front 50 80 thing, the scraping, all of that, the springs um, uh, worked out eventually. But this is the part I was thinking, I'm still figuring out if what could I do to make sure that those two legs work without without pirouetting, like I was saying. It was a bit, challenging, and yeah, here's it's a test of the mechanism. You see that? One side can go up and down now, independently of the other. That sort of works, which was amazing for me. That it actually works. It's not going to be a failed project right from the onset. And there's a lot of hope there. I may have bitten off more than I could chew, but well, I'm making a fair good go of it. It's sort of, you see, it's clearly working. Yeah, I don't know how reliable it'll be, or how I'm going to make it work without failing at the worst possible moment. But there you go. See, there it is. It works. Left wheel, right wheel. So I managed to bolt the 58T massive front chain ring to an existing one which I had lying around, which was I think 44T. Literally bolt. I'm not kidding there. I just put like 5 bolts in there, um, and drilled and bolt. It sort of works, except for the scraping bit, which nothing a bit of a hammering won't solve. This is the reinforcement for the handlebar front rods, all the assemblies there. Bolts, nuts and bolts everywhere. This is my usual seating arrangement. A triangle of rods, the spring for the shock in between, and this was the part from the old scooter. So I didn't even know initially it was a shock absorber, the one below. I just wanted a pivot point. It's only after I installed that I tried to drill through it, I realized that hey, it's actually a spring. So I've got one extra spring than I budgeted in my whole contraption. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We shall see. We shall learn when I ride it. For now, my main concern is that it stays in place, which it seems to do right now. This is the front, ugly looking front contraption, and the ugly looking rear contraption, which to be honest, I'm much more concerned about in the front. The front is solid enough. The back, as you can see here, is using that that pivot and those two metal rods. This is, by the way, this is the 58T chain ring bolted onto an existing one-piece crankset. The front shock has been drilled. Well, not sorry, not the front shock. The front fork has been drilled to accommodate the tube. This is the pivot point in the center where the two frames connect together via the old scooter. And now you can see, you can vaguely see what I'm going after here. Now the shape is coming together. I have had these two aluminium planks, I guess. I don't know, they were from an old window pane or something like that. I have no idea where they came from the junk. I could use those as a backrest, as part of the backrest anyway. So now for my uh, testing for the dimensions, so that I can at least reach the pedals. You might think that I would measure all this in advance, but no, that's not what I do. I sort of make it happen in runtime. More or less, approximately I knew the lengths, but I wasn't entirely sure how these angles would pan out in real life, because every small change in the front, every small change in the middle part of it, sort of amplifies, increases the error from my original assumptions. So here I am, putting myself at risk again from with all those metal rods and everything sort of very shaky, but yeah, seems to be okay. My leg reaches okay. I can conceive pedaling this contraption should I ever manage to finish it. That is in question, of course. I don't know how much my enthusiasm and perseverance will last. And the start was quite fascinating with the trike and the tilting, and it was an academic problem. The practicalities, the devil in the details of actually building things from metal, it has all its challenges. Anyway, here we go. So at least this seems to be okay. And the steering, look at my hands. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if I can possibly use that under seat steering. My holy grail, essentially. I've been trying to build an under seat steering for so many builds in the past, but this one, for the first time, I have real hope. And in fact, I've pretty much not given myself any backup plan. I've already built the contraption such that it has to have under seat steering. There's no way it cannot have under seat steering. Yeah, so as you can see, it sort of is fairly hopeful. This is so here. What I've decided is I'll have two mechanisms for the tilting. I'll explain that a little bit more. This one, yeah. So this sliding up and down mechanism. So the wooden block slides up and down one of the legs. The other leg is fixed. I realize that I don't need to have both of them sliding. Just one slider on the left. You can see here. You can see the left point can go up and down. The left side can go up and down. So that should be one mechanism. But I wasn't confident in my workmanship, and I don't want that to break in runtime. So I've also got a second contraption. You see there, the black old repurposed old brake levers, brake arms. So those form that those two. So the one pivot point. So there's two mechanisms operating at the same time. So if one fails, at least I have the other. Of course, if the brake boss itself fails, then I have my nightmarish pirouetting rear wheels. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and there's a good weld and good steel used there. But I don't know. We'll see. But at least at my end, I'm not depending entirely on my workmanship. So I've got two mechanisms which make that happen. Okay, the fun stuff, the seat. I had this piece of plywood lying around, so I decided to bend that into shape so that it makes a nice recumbent seat. At this point, the back seems to be stable enough, so I focused on the bending of the plywood. So those two ladder-like aluminum things, which are the window pane things, whatever they are, yeah, those became a good base. I could essentially attach pieces of wood to it at any point along its length, and essentially nail down this piece of plywood. I used two, by the way. There's one layer below, which is slightly smaller in width, and then this one. You'll see that the angle is a bit steep on this one. It's a lot more vertical than the final end product, which you might have seen at the start of this video. And we'll come to how that angle suddenly changed at the end. It's not an accident. It happened. Well, it happened in a circuitous way, but it's not an accident. So at this point, it's quite vertical. It's an upright recumbent. It's almost like like a tonga, like one of those horse-drawn old-style carriages. It looks a little bit like that. I put a little bit of cushioning, saran wrap, cling film essentially, lots of American tape, gaffer tape. I don't know what it's called. In the shops here, it's called American tape. So now it's fairly rideable. Well, not. I don't know about that. At least I can sit on it and do a little test ride on the front. I got a new chain, by the way. The chain which came with the bike was clearly too short because of my insistence on having the 558T massive chainring up front. And now I have a good place to sit with all that tape, American tape, whatever again. Gaffer tape. Basically acting as a seat cover. I contemplated using upholstery, but abandoned the idea because of my, as you saw in my last few videos, complete and total utter lack of upholstery skill sets or ambitions. So slowly but surely I was edging towards completion until damn you, I like this Homer Simpson scene. I realized that once I tried to take it outside my apartment, it wouldn't fit in the lift. It was too tall. So that upright seat, which was so tall, massive piece of plywood, was effectively too massive. I just couldn't take it downstairs. So that was an entirely indoor bike at this point, unless I decide to use the stairs, which I wisely decided against. I'm not going to lug this thing up and down the stairs. It's impossible. So I reduced the length of the plywood and tried again. You can see the top part of it has been cut off. And ta-da! It still did not fit.
Okay, so the trike is ready for testing. First test ride coming up soon. So here it is. Couldn't fit it in the lift, so reduced the height a little bit of the seat, and also took the opportunity to put a little bit of extra foam in there. Now here's the thing. This is what really is the differentiator. Hopefully this contraption works, which is the mechanism of differential shock absorption leading to tilting, hopefully, and not breakage.
So I did a little test of that tilting to see what I couldn't when I looked ahead. Of course, I had a camera pointing at the back. It's stable, at least. It's not. I'm not falling off. But you can see it's my shoddy workmanship means that there is no straight line anywhere in sight. Those three wheels are all pointing in different directions. And as I tilt it, I think I can feel it, but it's a minor deflection in the shock. You can see slight, but not really. I think I really need to take it out and just try it out. For now, at least it works, sort of. You can see both together work, and then one at a time also works. And I don't have the whole, contraption at least falling off, breaking down. That doesn't seem to be happening, although it's very wobbly. I can try to tighten it as much as possible, but not too much, because I still need. I still want to really. I'm sort of at this point. I'm pretty much wedded to this concept. I need to figure out if it works or not, after having invested so much effort building it. So I'm going to just not over tighten it. I'm not going to fix anything, and just see if it works. The handlebar was also very wide, so again I had a concern whether it will fit in the lift or not. But my major problem was solved when I changed the angle. You see there, the angle is now much slacker. It's actually much more horizontal, and I essentially just drilled a new hole in the aluminum pane thing, and changed the angle at which it connects. So this, weirdly enough, or serendipitously or fortuitously, I think that's the word, fortuitously enough, turned out to be a very good thing, thanks to my lift and to because the angle is now much more comfortable than it was before, which was way too vertical. So this horizontal angle actually works nice. It's fairly rideable and very, very, very comfortable. As you saw the early part of the video, the ride shots, the ride videos. I'll probably do a better ride video with some kind of mobile holder or something. But for now, pretty happy. Over and out.